G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video. And first of all, if you did not watch the video yesterday, you need to stop watching this video right now and go and watch that one first, because this video today is a direct continuation from the previous. But here we go, we are at Daily Race C of this, or I think it was last week actually, the week before. I'm now sitting here commentating this, but we're at Circuit de Sainte-Croix, so Sayntee Croycks in Group 1 of course, and we have settled with the SRT Tomahawk for the week, and we're now racing with LMP1 cars. So we set ourselves a qualifying time of 2:52.1, and basically the goal of this video is to actually get a win, and that by win I mean a hard-fought win on pace, like not someone crashes out and I get an easy 7-lap clean run, but an actual hard-fought victory trying to outpace and out-strategy someone. So this is what we're going to do, and the two people we're basically going to be keeping the biggest eye on in terms of our competition is the two guys ahead of me, Max Mayhem and Heatsink. They're the two people that were racing with me on this day of the race, and they're the two people that I'm aiming to beat. So they were going ham at this combination, trying to beat each other, and I was kind of getting involved as a third party. I wasn't really, it wasn't really planned at all. I just saw these two and heard that, they were actually fighting with one another, and we're going to try and get ourselves involved in a race win. So the way we're going to do that is just try and keep as clean as possible, just keep out of traffic for as long as possible. And what remains are the principles I discussed in yesterday's video. So I'm in the Tomahawk, a VGT car, so no hybrid deployment, but very good top-end speed. Whereas Heatsink and Max Mayhem are in an LMP1 car. I'm not sure which one exactly, but they have hybrid deployment and not as good top-end speed. So it's a very interesting dynamic as to how we get these positions done, and it's not done by doing that. We ran slightly wide through turn 21 and it put us offline, and then we actually get barged out of the way by pitted mud, and we actually get slammed into the barrier that sticks out on the exit of turn 23. I can understand why he wanted to get past. I'd gone off the track and have dirty tyres, but I still left him room on the apex, but he did not leave me room on the exit. So there was contact, side-to-side contact, when he could have easily left me a little bit of space, and I ended up crashing some more. So I've gotten stuck behind this Bugatti VGT, and this is another, obviously, a VGT, because I just said it was. So it's got very good top-end speed. The issue is, well, not really an issue, just another interesting quirk of this class, is the VGT cars actually don't benefit off each other's slipstream too much, because their top speed is gained generally by more power. They don't have as much aero surfaces as an LMP1 car. So an LMP1 car has like splitters, winglets, all sorts of things, wings, diffusers, like aero surfaces that use the air coming over the car to generate downforce. The LMP1 car, however, does not have quite as much of that, but it does have more top-end speed. But because it doesn't have aero surfaces, it's very slippery down the straight, so getting a slipstream off the back of another VGT car does not actually yield you as much of a speed advantage as you can off the back of a LMP1 car, but there is an inherent speed advantage there anyway. But we've gotten past Yarrow Smith cleanly, so he was the one who kind of pushed us off the track a little bit, but we've gotten past him cleanly, and we're extending that gap already. We skip ahead to the start of lap 3, where Max Mayhem has picked himself up a penalty, and he's going to serve that here. So he was driving away from me using his hybrid, but the penalty serving has just brought him back within slipstream range of me, so I'm going to be slipstreaming him down the straight. I pull out quite early, but I'm on the brakes. I'm going to be trying to get up the inside. He goes slightly deep there, so we're going to try and get onto the power as aggressively as we can. But that LMP with the hybrid deployment, look how much he gains. He's gained 0.4 of a second on the exit of that little corner there. I mean, how long of a straight was that? Maybe 100 meters, and he's gained 0.4. We managed to stay behind him for quite a long time, up until the back straight here, where, of course, we are able to get that move done quite easily. You can gain like a second off the back of an LMP1 car down the straight. It's so, the speed difference is so massive. Coming into turn 2, we actually make a slight misjudgment under brakes and punt pitted mud up into turn 2, so we have to make sure he keeps that position. So redressing that slightly. I didn't take into account that he was going to get the advantage off the corner anyway, so he gained a lot more time than I was supposed to give him. But then coming down the hill in this left-right So this left-right sequence, the LMP1 car, pitted mud, makes a mistake on the entry to the bridge and crashes into the barrier on the exit. So I'm released out into the lead. So what I've got to do now is make sure that I can get enough time ahead so I come out of the important people at the pit stops. I started on the soft tyre this time, and I've come out behind Max Mayhem and behind Hisayon. 3.5 seconds behind Hisayon. Actually, it's still climbing as I'm not up to speed yet. We'll see on the exit of turn 2 what that gap actually is. So it's going to be up towards 5 seconds by the end of this straight because of the hybrid deployment the LMP1 car has down this straight. That's going to give them a pace advantage. Yeah, 5.1 seconds behind. Trying to warm up the tyres very aggressively, but look at that, 5 seconds to gain with 2 and a bit laps to go. And I actually have Yarrowsmith behind, very close contention behind. He has done the same strategy as me, so he's on medium tyres at the moment, and he had a bit of hybrid deployment out of the second corner, so that's why he's so close behind me. Then coming in to turn 6, got to make sure we get a good exit. We actually get a little bit of a poor exit, and with the hybrid deployment that Yarrowsmith has, he's able to get it clean around the outside even before the next braking point up towards turn 7. So he's around the outside towards turn 7, wide off turn 7, but he meets that apex nicely for turn 8 and has managed to cement himself up into 3rd for this position. But by the back straight, we managed to get the slipstream off the back of him, and we slipstream past. So it was a little bit unfortunate we got locked in that battle with Yarrowsmith for a bit, because the gap to the lead has now opened up to 6.8 seconds, and we've still got just over 2 and a bit laps to go, or just over 2 laps to go to gain 7 seconds. But that's not going to happen, as Yarrowsmith has misjudged his braking and comes in and sort of punts me and crashes me off the track. So I'm going to lose a load of time trying to recover from this spin. I end up behind this LMP1 car driven by CBX CRM. Quite unfortunate. Now 16 seconds off the lead. That's really not where I want to be at all. And then coming into turn 2, this race really begins to go even further downhill as I punt the guy coming into turn 2, and I get a penalty for it because I overtook him at the exit. Yarrowsmith behind has a large penalty. I think that's for punting me, so fair enough. So we serve that penalty, and we now get overtaken by another SRT Tomahawk, and this is where we see the slipstream effects are really negligible. So we had the slipstream all the way down the 1.8 kilometre long straight on Row Riemann, but I wasn't really able to get much closer to him, thanks to him also having the slipstream. But then coming up through here, we're running side by side all the way through here, side by side through turn 18, and then turn 19 he got ahead, but I got a penalty. Where did that come from? Where was the contact? I feel like it was such a long time between getting the penalty and actually having contact at turn 16, so I don't think it was for that. It was obviously some sort of, I don't know, some sort of very delayed algorithm calculation for my penalty there, but I'm not really sure where that penalty came from. But at the end of the day, it was a very disappointing race, and we finished, I don't even remember, was it like 10th or something? I didn't even pay attention to it, but that race is down the toilet, so we're just going to continue on, hoping to get another victory. We've gone back to our medium to soft strategy from the previous video, trying to get the upper hand on people. If I can just stick in someone's slipstream or something on the medium tyre, I might be able to reduce the disadvantage I have on the harder compound, and hopefully really be close enough to sort of undercut someone on the soft tyre. So on the exit of turn 2, the LMP driven by Momizi has the hybrid deployed and gets a load of overspeed on the exit of turn 2, and we find ourselves down in 4th, 2.3 seconds off the lead at this point. Hisayon has run very deep, so I'm going to be looking to get past, but he's rejoined the track, and he's rejoined the track right where my exit apex was, and that was a quite awkward moment between us, and I get a 2-second penalty for that. I guess fair enough, but still very frustrating. I wasn't really doing that on purpose, it was just he was right where my car's trajectory was already headed, and we just happened to collide at the same part of the track. So we serve out 2 seconds of penalty. We've got cars coming up behind me. It's very touch and go whether we're going to lose further positions, but I run defensive to try and defend these positions, but Kenneth goes clean around the outside. Does he manage to kind of recover it and get a better exit? He actually does. He manages to hold it around the outside of turn 16, and we've lost a further position. So two people got past as we served the penalty, but by the end of the straight another person got past. So Kenneth, we're going to be looking to get past him, but it's very difficult. Basically from basically, apart from the straights, it's so easy to get stuck behind someone. It's so difficult to overtake, and it actually took an entire lap to get past him. An entire lap. We had to wait for the straight of the following lap to get past him. We've caught up right to the back of Mimese already. So Kenneth and I working together to an extent to catch the next car, so not too bad. But we skip ahead to the entry to the bridge where Mimese runs very wide and hits that barrier that sort of comes across into right onto the edge of the bridge, sort of cuts in towards the track, and Mimese has run wide and hit it. Managed to get past, so that leaves us to lap 3. We're going to go in for the pit stop. So 10.5 seconds off the lead. Let's see what we can do. We come out behind this massive pack. What's that, like 1, 2, 3 cars? All coming out of the pits at the same time. Kind of frustrating, to be honest. And we've caught up to the back of Chi driving the Bugatti VGT, and we'll see exactly how difficult it is to actually get past. So towards the end of the straight, it takes a long time, over a kilometre down that straight, before we actually get past Chi, and we now grab the slipstream off the back of Hisayon. If we can at least beat Hisayon, I think we've done a good job. But let's see how we go. On the exit of turn 16, a little bit squirrely on the exit. He's going to have the slipstream off the back of Palmer, however he's taking an alternative line just to reduce those dirty air effects. We'll see how close we can get through this high-speed section at the end of the lap. Braking just on the ambulance. They're holding each other up slightly. We've gained definitely coming through this section, looking up the inside at turn 23, but we think better of it, just holding back a little bit there. But then on the exit of turn 23, we managed to get the momentum, but Palmer is right where I wanted to put my car, so I have to back out of that. Coming around the outside of the final corner, a little bit of contact between myself and Palmer. That was nothing really major. I did sweep around the outside very late. I think Palmer had already committed to his line. But he does go into the pit, so a little bit awkward, but we're now stuck behind Chi again, so we're going to grab his slipstream. He does not defend it crucially, so we're going to have the inside for the following corner, which is a very sharp right-hander of turn 3. Onto the brakes, make sure we don't go too deep. We actually managed to stop it on the apex beautifully. Chi attempts to get that undercut, but he doesn't have the hybrid deployment in that VGT, of course, so he's able to stay behind, and I'm able to keep myself up in 3rd position. Hisayon, 1.7 seconds up the road, and Max Mayhem still 10.5 seconds. So I think once again the victory has eluded us. We are still not quite within range of that victory. Hisayon critically runs wide on the exit of turn 6 and gets himself a half-second penalty, which he's going to serve down the 1.8 kilometre long straight of lap 5, of course. Just puts him back into the slipstream range, and he is, of course, under speeding, of course, hasn't got as much speed, coming off the penalty, so we managed to get that move cleanly done before turn 16, and we've now been released. Up into 2nd position, 8.8 seconds off the back of Max Mayhem, so we're going to see our best efforts. The best we could muster was only 6.0 seconds off the back of him, so we gained a little bit, but still not enough. We really need to avoid all that traffic. We need to avoid the fighting in the traffic on our outlap or whatever it may be to really contend for the victory here. Max Mayhem actually has a 251.9. Of course, we are going to go again. We've got a couple of different drivers in the mix this time. We've got Firawin Choco and Ro Riemann in between myself and Hisayon. So, however, they are driving the LMP cars, or one of them is at least, and gets the jump on me off the start using the hybrid deployment. So, look, this race, you can really see how easy it is to kind of lose the race at the start. But once again, medium to soft strategy. We are just, not wasting our soft tyres getting stuck in traffic. We're going to do that later in the race where we're more likely to be in clear air. So, Hisayon makes his way past. LMP1 is very easy to gain back on me at the start of the race, so I'm not too concerned about that at the moment. However, I make a mistake. I just grazed the wall on the exit of turn 3, and I've lost 2 more positions, in addition to Hisayon, and we're now behind traffic coming through this 2nd and 3rd sector. It's so painful. So we skip ahead to the entry to the bridge, fast left into a uphill off-camber right-hander with a bump halfway through, up onto the bridge. Chi has actually gone for the VGT Audi and has binned it, so obviously a little bit out of practice. Got an SRT behind me. I think he was serving a penalty shortly, if I recall correctly. So he's going to stick behind me. He is. He's got a 1 second penalty. There's not really much point in him trying to fight for my position here because we're both just going to lose time. But he serves that penalty. We catch up to the back of Pitted Mud and Hisayon, who have punted each other into the turn 2. So I'm going to say thank you very much and take those positions easily. 1.6 seconds ahead of Hisayon off the back of that little bit of a punt done by Pitted Mud. So now we're 7.3 seconds off the back of Max Mayhem, and we're going to have a look at the end of lap 2. Hisayon pits 2 seconds behind me. He's going for the undercut, and that's a very real possibility because he's going to come out on the brand new soft tyres. I'm going to fast forward all the way through this lap, which is my in lap. So as long as we can get a faster in lap out lap than Hisayon does, we should be able to still come out ahead. We've got a 2 second margin, so even if we lap 1.9 seconds slower than Hisayon does on his in-lap out-lap, we should still come out just about ahead of him, but he is in that LMP1 car, so we do have to still have a little bit of a margin if we actually want to keep the position for real. But eventually we come to the end of the lap. Quite a long lap, isn't it? Come into the pits, soft tyre, no fuel. We're going to fast forward all the way through this pit sequence, and on the exit, let's have a look at Hisayon. He's behind Eagle's Study 84. Coming up through turn 1, that gap behind is 1 second. We're going to run a little bit defensive, or we think about it. We come back over to the right, into the braking zone. We actually graze the barrier on the inside, so that's not good. However, Eagle Study is driving an SRT Tomahawk, so that should slow Hisayon up a little bit. And as you can see, heading down the straight, Hisayon does have an advantage, but that advantage wanes away as the straight goes on, and then we hit our braking point nicely. We're going to be able to keep this position into the apex. No! Eagle Study comes in with the sort of very late lunge. There's loaded with contact, and Hisayon capitalises on that. Eagles rightly gets a 2 second penalty, so now we've got the very frustrating dynamic of being stuck behind somebody that's going to lose the position anyway through a very crucial part of the track, all the way through this twisty second and third sector. However, we've got the overrun on the exit of turn 6. We're going to be looking around the outside of turn 7. Does he kind of concede the position? Does he give it up, thinking, oh no, I have the penalty, I'm going to lose this position anyway? No, we run side by side through turn 7, side by side through turn 8. He gives me just about enough room on the exit, although he doesn't really. He edges me into the gravel, doesn't he? But he's going to be looking to sweep around the outside of turn 9. He's got the inside for turn 10. However, I hang it around the outside of turn 10, and we finally managed to get that power down on the exit, down through turn 11. We finally got the position done. And look how much time we've lost to Hisayon, 2.7 seconds. He overtook us at the same time as Eagles did, and we've lost 3 seconds to the back of Hisayon thanks to that fighting. And it took a whole lap, and we're still not within where we were. We're still 2 seconds behind. Some more people pit, so we find ourselves in 4th, and we've still got just under 3 laps to go, and we're 11 seconds, or actually, what's that, 10.5 seconds off the lead. So once again, I think the victory has gone away from us once again. But then coming into this bridge entry, we're going to see how we get on here. We actually get a good exit there, and Hisayon 1.8 seconds ahead of me, and then through this long right-hander all the way down here, we're going to be gaining and gaining all the way up until the end of the straight, trying to get past him. I think at this point, I can't even see a car ahead of Hisayon, so I think this race is just fighting for the podium, which I'm going to do. We've got 2 laps to go, we're just over 2 laps, and we're going to see how close we can actually get. We didn't have the dirty air for the first part of those high-speed corners, but we now do. We actually get it hooked into that apex of turn 21 beautifully, flat out through turn 22, and look how fast we've caught up to the back. We do have a little bit of a pace advantage through this final sector because there's no real traction zones for the hybrid deployment to sort of come into effect of the LMP1 cars. But on the exit of the final corner, we do have the slipstream off the back of Hisayon. He's got half a second, but this sort of flat out section is sort of long enough. We're going to be gaining now. Look at the time closing in under 3/10 now. We're going to be looking up the inside at turn 2 onto the brakes nicely, and we managed to stop it beautifully onto the power as aggressively as we can, leave him enough room on the outside, but of course hybrid deployment. I'm not able to finish off that position, but I am able to hold him up as much as possible. I wasn't able to re-overtake him up until we get onto the bridge of the following lap, where we're just outside of slipstream. So painful. I really need to be in slipstream sort of coming onto the bridge, because he's going to gain a little bit, but I should be close enough to just get the slipstream down the 1.8 kilometre long straight. So on the exit, we were just over a second, and it's not quite close enough. However, I get within 3/10 almost into the braking zone of turn 16, and we've still got one more lap to attempt to overtake Heatsink for this final podium paying position. We're 8.2 seconds behind the leader, so we are gaining time at this point, but I don't think one lap is going to be enough to gain 8 seconds and overtake 3 people. But once again, we'll just still focus on Heatsink. He's not as strong as me through this high-speed section at the end of the lap, so we do gain quite a bit of time. We're going to be trying to get as close as possible to try and get past him before that exit of turn 2, because if I can try and battle and overtake him, he will lose time, and that's all I can ask for with his very aggressive hybrid deployment on the exit. So slipstream down the main straight, starting the final lap. We've actually got the fastest lap for 2:54.7, not bad for an in-race lap. Trying to throw him off by looking like we're sort of going to go for the move at turn 1, but we managed to switch it to the outside last second, which is the inside for turn 2. However, I just missed my braking point, goes slightly deep. Heatsink gets the undercut plus the hybrid deployment, and he's got a very good exit out of that corner there. The gap opens up to almost a second before the end of the straight, and then fast forwarding through all of this section, we're just stuck behind him a little bit. We get within slipstream, but we suffer from dirty air effects once we do. As you can see, that gap yo-yoing, but just around 7.5 tenths, because as soon as you get into slipstream, you begin to run slower. But eventually, on the exit of turn 15, we get the power down, and look at the gap, 7.5 tenths. So we are actually in slipstream now at this point, with still over a kilometre worth of the straight to go, as we're shifting up into the high gears of this Tomahawk, into 7th gear, shooting up towards 330 kilometres an hour. We pull out for that move, and we've got plenty of track to get that move cleanly done before we even touch the brakes for the following corner. A lot of slipstreams, we had to brake quite early, but now I'm actually ahead of Heatsink, coming up through this very high-speed, twisty second last and last sector. We're just going to be watching that gap. It's 3/10 as we head through turn 19, turn 20, easy flat, turn 21, braking just on the ambulance and turning in on the brake to get the front to bite in, onto the power, flat out through turn 22, and then by the time we exit turn 23, we're over a second ahead of him. 1.4 seconds is the gap in the end. Managed to come across the line in third, 6.1 seconds off max. We actually gained 2 seconds on that final lap to max, but once again, still not getting that victory I so dearly want. So we're going to go again. I'm going to keep going until I can get a victory that sort of satisfies me. There's a key difference this time. However, have a look at the grid there. There is no Heatsink, there is no Max Mayhem. We've got ST22 behind me, and I start on pole position. ST is in an LMP1 car, so he's going to overtake me off the start, but I'm once again going for the high IQ strat of the medium to soft tyre. I want to be able to lap as fast as, you know, someone that's probably not quite up to the pace on the softs as while I'm on the medium, and then go on to the softs. So everyone around me goes, wow, how is he going so fast on the medium? And then I just blindside them with strategy. That's what I want to go for. So ST gets past. I know I can have a good race with ST. He's a fellow top split FIA Oceania driver, so I'm not too worried about sort of fighting him when I need to. But he does get me off the start, but that's fine. If he's on the soft tyre at the start, I don't necessarily find myself too concerned that he's going to gap me a little bit, but eventually I should be able to get a little bit closer to him, which I indeed do, having defended the second position off the start of the race. Have a look at the gap here. So it was 1 second gap heading through turn 15, and we just about get a good enough exit to get the good slipstream down the 1.8 kilometre long straight. This is lap 2, by the way, so the tyre where the very high performance edge that the soft tyres have on ST have probably waned off by now. By the end of the straight, we've got that move done. So we managed to get past ST for the victory, for the win, for the first position at this point. Just on lap 2, we're now released into the lead, no traffic to deal with on the medium tyre. We find ourselves in a very good position. My next port of call is to just make a gap large enough so he doesn't re-overtake me on the exit of turn 2 with his hybrid deployment. But coming through, up through turn 22 and turn 23, that gap opened up to over the slipstream range. So we skip ahead to lap 3, where we had quite a large gap to ST. We come into the pits for our medium stop, going on to the soft tyre, and ST has actually stayed out an extra lap. That tells me he's started on the soft, so that was kind of expected. I expected him to be on the softs, having driven away at the start, but then kind of come back to me as the soft tyre performance drops off. At the end of lap 4, my suspicions are confirmed. However, we gained 5 seconds on ST Nickel. It was 10 seconds the gap at the start of lap 4. The gap is 5 seconds, and he's pitted from the soft tyre to the medium. And that was the race. He came out behind me, of course, and I had no one else to contend me with. Okay, I finished 11 seconds behind non-Conon. Key point to look at here is look at that total time at 20 minutes 50. That's rapid. Like, I don't mean to pat myself on the back too much, but that is a bloody quick race time. And the fact that I know that I can do that when needed without the traffic really goes to show that I probably could have performed a lot better in my previous races, because Max Mayhem was bringing home mid 250s, sort of the mid 20 minute 50s time, so 20 minutes and sort of 55, 56, 57 seconds. So the fact that I did a 2050 really just tells me that I have a lot of pace under me. It's just unfortunate that I get stuck in traffic. However, that's kind of by choice, because I am doing sort of the more risky strategy of starting on the harder tyre. But we're going to go on to the final race of the video, actually. So that was the victory I wanted, but it wasn't the hard-fought one that I wanted. So we've got ST Nickel for company as well. We've also have Maziora Sink up in second, and Yunko Zukata 04 up in first. We've got Butt Kicker behind in an SRT Tomahawk, so we don't have to worry about hybrid deployment from him, which is good. I don't want to have to worry about that. And actually, that's kind of another point in this race. You kind of get, it's basically luck. You know, how many positions you lose. You know, if you just happen to be in a lobby with a load of VGTs, you're probably not going to lose as many positions as you are if you've got a load of LMP1 cars around you. But luckily for me, Butt Kicker is in an SRT Tomahawk, so we don't have to worry about his aggressive hybrid deployment. However, ST Nickel is in an LMP1 car, so he's going to have aggressive hybrid deployment on the exit of all these corners in this first sector. But we skip ahead. This is still lap 1. The lead has actually binned it, so that Audi VGT is kind of, you know, it's kind of, the drivers of that Audi VGT have kind of shown me it's a very difficult car to handle. But we come around this long right-hander onto the straight. Maziora Sink makes a mistake, grazes the wall in the exit, and then we just about get into the slipstream of ST Nickel. By the end of the straight, we are within it, but that gap was about 1.2 at the start of the straight, so we weren't quite close enough to get that move done. But we get lunged from quite a long way back by Maziora Sink again, and the Butt Kicker follows us through, and the Butt Kicker gets 2-second penalty. A little bit dodgy. I think Maziora was the one that went for the move on me. Aggressive cut across the front from Butt Kicker, but it's all good. No contact, but we do fall off the back a little bit, so we're stuck in this battle now. But thankfully it's all Tomahawks, so it's an even playing field. I don't have to worry too much about hybrid, or I don't have to worry at all about hybrid, because none of these cars have it. So I know that we're all in the same boat. We've got the same advantages and the same disadvantages. However, the only difference being perhaps tyre compound. If these people have started on soft, I've just got to do the best I can on the medium to try and sort of, you know, limit the damage that I do on these harder tyres. But here we go. Butt Kicker serves his 2-second penalty. Crucially, I don't have an LMP1 car behind me, so I shouldn't have to worry too much about trying to defend this position. All I have to do is sort of just feint to the inside a little bit. The other car is remaining over to the racing line, so I probably could have gone further over to the left if I needed, but I managed to get the car pulled up. No power understeer, which is good, so I don't understeer into the barrier. We just remain behind Maziora Sink all the way up until here. We managed to grab the slipstream off the back of him down the straight. If we can be close enough on this main straight, the 1.8 kilometre long back straight, we could get this position for second, and if ST Nickel is copying or using his previous strategy, he will be on the soft tyre. So the fact that he's only 2.5 seconds up the road doesn't concern me that much, because I'm confident I can gain a lot more than that back when I go onto my soft stint. But it's all good. Maziora Sink, we've got the slipstream, but we don't gain that much. This is what I'm talking about. The VGT do not gain as much slipstream off the back of one another, especially this SRT Tomahawk. It's a very slippery car. I mean, have a look at the shape of it. It's just got a rear wing, but the sort of fenders and all the bodywork is very smooth and flowing, so the slipstream effects aren't as pronounced. But he manages to defend that position despite me having all of the slipstream. So he runs very wide through turn 21, just puts him offline a little bit for turn 22, and I'm looking up the inside of turn 23, but I back out of that. I don't want to cause an incident and sort of ruin the race on lap 2. The next thing I want to look at is just trying to get past before the second and third sector. If I can get past before there, I won't be stuck in the dirty air. However, actually, that is a moot point, because Maziora pits early. He pits on the end of lap 2, so he's gone for the undercut. This is very crucial that I managed to actually get a good in-lap here, because this is my in-lap now, to remain ahead of Maziora's Sink. Butt Kicker tries to look around the outside, but the corner doesn't really work like that. Actually, that's not Butt Kicker, sorry, it's Kazu. Thought it was Butt Kicker. But we skip ahead to the end of the lap. We managed to defend from Kazu. We come into the pits off our medium tyre. Kazu follows me in on the soft. And we're going to be looking where Maziora's Sink is on the exit. I think that's him coming up behind me in the distance. He roars past me through turn 1, and that gap has opened up slightly. I think he's, if anything, he's undercut me slightly, because I think I was a lot closer to him when he went into the pit, so he's gained a little bit. But once again, there's no LMP1 cars in this battle directly, so I don't have too much to worry about. But we skip ahead to the back straight. We're still not in slipstream, and it took us a little while to actually catch back up to Maziora's Sink. ST Nickel goes into the pits, so we'll see where he comes out. Are we able to get past him in the pit phase? Because we have had the slipstream off the back of Maziora, and he is quite a quick driver, so we actually haven't lost too much time to him. If anything, we've gained with the slipstream, and ST Nickel comes out. We go clean past him. He will have... Actually, I was going to say he will have a tyre advantage, but he'll have a compound disadvantage, which I think far outweighs the length of time spent on the tyre, regardless of the compound. But now this is a straight-up sprint for the victory. We've got a 4/10 gap between myself and the lead. This is the hard-fought battle that I wanted. If I can win this race, that will be very, very satisfying, and that will be essentially all I wanted to be able to achieve in this combination here. But unfortunately, we're going to have the dirty air through here, so that's no good. We're just going to have to be careful that that gap doesn't open up too much. We're just going to be doing everything we can. You can kind of rescue a slow corner by getting onto the power early, provided your car is pointed where you need it to go. But we lost a little bit of time there, but the driver ahead gets a poor exit off turn 6. We're still sending a purple sector at this point. He's wide off turn 7. He runs wide onto the grass, but I think he just about keeps 2 wheels on the curb to avoid the dirty tyre mechanic. However, he's rattled and he's run wide at turn 8. It's going to give us the outside for turn 9. We're looking around the outside. We're going to be able to get this done at turn 10. Onto the brakes, the inside for turn 10, onto the power as aggressively as we can, and he does not have the grip around the outside. We managed to get that move up in for the first position through the non-overtaking part of the circuit, so very good overtake there. Now my attention has turned to just making sure that I can defend this position successfully. We've seen in the past that these slipstream effects between two Tomahawks are not as pronounced as they are between a Tomahawk and an LMP1, so I think I've kind of essentially got lucky here that I'm racing other Tomahawks and not LMP1 cars. But it does of course mean he does have the ability to stretch the legs on the straight. If he was an LMP1 car, I wouldn't have to worry about that. But I get an awesome run through turn 15, and that gap has opened up to 8/10, nearly 9/10 on the exit of that straight. And by the end of the race, that was all that was needed. It was to break the slipstream, and I was able to drive away. And that was the victory I so longed for. Coming across the line, 5.4 seconds ahead of somebody, and that was it. I outpaced them. I had a better strategy, and I come across the line ahead of them in first position. Granted, the total time was a 20:57, so you can see just how much time that fighting really adds to your total time, but at the end of the day, I think that was a lot better of a race compared to the 20-minute 50 race time I did, so I think that is where I left that. Although, looking at that, I've only got 68 wins. I should have gone the one extra win to finish the video off like that, but never mind, I will get that soon enough. But that's it. That's them to the end. Lovely week of daily races. I love having a daily race like that where I can jump in occasionally to an awesome combination and have awesome racing just like we did there. Circuit de Sainte-Croix C. Polyphony Digital, you need to use more Circuit de Sainte-Croix. More Sayntee Croycks, please. That's what the people want. We don't want Interlagos anymore. We don't want Sardinia anymore. We want Sayntee Croycks. Please give us more, because it always throws up awesome racing. But that's it, that's where I left the daily races that week. I do hope you've enjoyed these sort of more laid back videos without the competition and stress of the FIA. I think I have as well. It's always nice to jump into a less stressful type of racing, which is very accessible on GT Sport, I must say. But that's going to finish up this one today. Do hit the like button if you enjoyed, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. Do leave a comment as well. Questions, comments, and constructive criticism, as always, very much appreciated. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.